Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, because we have now finally seen this pump to the upside that I was kind of anticipating in the recent days here. Now, of course, yesterday we were talking about this level of resistance at about 62.4K, as well as that Fibonacci golden pocket that I kept talking about over and over again. So I'm glad we have now finally surpassed that. We'll get back to that in just a second. For now, I quickly want to show you guys this 1 day MACD indicator. Of course, if you have been watching my recent videos, you know that I told you exactly when this flipped, and I was saying last time this flipped from bearish to bullish. We actually saw a near 20% move to the upside. That was right here. So of course, past results are no indication of what can happen this time, but as I said at the time, if we just continue to see this MACD indicator trend up, likely we are going to see much more bullish momentum after that. So I will just keep updating you guys on this MACD indicator every single day here, so you actually catch it early if this MACD indicator starts to trend down. Now, as I said in yesterday's video, of course, as soon as we pump above this 62.4K level, the 62.7K level, roughly speaking, then I said likely we would reach this next level of resistance from 65,000 all the way up to 66,000, where we would meet some resistance. Now, of course, so far, that is exactly what we have seen. We literally exactly touched this level of resistance. And then on the lower time frames, we saw a bit of a rejection and are now trading a little bit below that. So obviously this played out exactly as expected. Now moving on to the Fibonacci levels for Bitcoin, because as you can see right here, we have now traded above this Fibonacci golden pocket. So as I said previously as well, and I'm not trying to make this video some kind of victory lap, but I just want to show you guys what I've been talking about recently. Obviously, I said the more touches we have here, the more likely it is that we are going to break it, especially after the third or fourth touch. Now, this was the fifth touch point right here, and we actually broke through it. Now, personally, what I would actually love to see in the weekend here is actually if we trade down a little bit to come down and retest this as a level of support, then getting a bounce from there. In my personal opinion, that would be the most bullish scenario, because then we have actually confirmed that this is a level of support. Blasting off from there would likely send us much higher for the Bitcoin price. Although, of course, it doesn't have to actually play out like this, so keep that in mind. So potentially, if we just take a look at the lower time frames here, we might see a little bit of choppy sideways price action during this weekend here, which would not be surprising to see, considering that we are also trading between this level of resistance at 65.5K and this level of support at 62.7K. Now, if you are more of a short-term trader, something you could look out for as a potential maybe like breakout or something like that is to see what happens in terms of this range here, right? So if we actually break below this range on the lower time frames, once again, it might mean that we will see a bit more of a move to the downside in the short term. And of course, the opposite is true. If we break the range to the upside, it means that we might have a bit more of a pump left there, potentially up to these previous highs. So that is just something to look out for on these lower time frames as well. But of course, it is very dependent on what time frame you're looking at and what the charts are looking like for that specific time frame. Though at the same time, what we can tell about, for example, this 1 hour time frame is that we have reached overbought territories, and typically when we reach those overbought territories, the RSI needs to reset back down a little bit on that specific time frame. So in this case, the 1 hour time frame. So it wouldn't be crazy to see a bit more choppy sideways price action here to actually reset that RSI back down, back to around the 50 level. Another way to do it is actually if we get a bit of bearish momentum here in the short term, that would actually decrease the RSI more quickly than if we would get that consolidation just sideways. So that is just something that I'm looking out for on this lower time frame here as well. And actually, now that I'm talking about leverage trading here, if you are currently leverage trading crypto, guys, and you are not doing it either on MEXC or on WEX, then I don't know what you are doing, because you are literally burning your money on the crazy fees on other platforms, like for example Bybit, like for example Coinbase. These exchanges have some of the highest fees in the crypto space. MEXC has the lowest fees in the crypto space for leverage trading specifically, because that is what this platform is built for. Okay, so just to give you an example of what the taker fees are like, on MEXC, they are 0.01. And for example, on Bybit, they are 0.1. Okay, so they are 10x higher than MEXC. Coinbase is even more expensive than Bybit. So again, guys, I'm telling you, you are burning money on fees without even knowing it. And by signing up to MEXC with this link right here, you will get these lowest fees, as well as up to $1,000 in trading and depositing bonuses. So go check out this link. Now, if you are not able to register on MEXC, or you are not able to KYC on MEXC, because yes, KYC is required on MEXC, I also have a link right here to WeX, which typically has fees of 0.06, which is still much lower than, for example, Bybit or, for example, Coinbase. However, if you use my link in the video description here, you will actually get a 33% fee discount as well, making it, again, the lowest fee exchange in terms of no KYC trading. And yes, this is also available in the US, in Asia, in Canada, all of those countries. So again, go check that out, because I'm tired of you guys overpaying on fees for literally no reason. Now, let's move on with these Bitcoin liquidation heat maps for the 24-hour time frame. As you can see right here, at about 62.4K, we have quite a bit of liquidity. So for me personally, it would not be crazy to see something like this, where we eventually actually end up grabbing this liquidity, potentially even bouncing off of this trend line right here, grabbing the liquidity, and then, well, seeing the next move. So either holding the trend line as a level of support or not, of course, but we will see that when we get there. However, in the case that you are not familiar with this chart, basically the Bitcoin price gets attracted to where there is the most liquidity on this chart. And right now we have quite a bit of liquidity sitting at, again, at 62.4K. However, not only is there liquidity at 65K as well, what you must keep in mind is that there is a difference between the different time frames. So right now we are looking at the 24-hour time frame, so the low time frame. However, if we zoom out to this 1 month time frame, you can see a very different story, right? So we just took out a massive amount of liquidity, especially at 62.2K, as I talked about in recent videos as well. Like I said, there's a lot of liquidity here. Likely we are going to grab this liquidity, which we did. So we took out over $2 billion worth of short positions here. So for now, there is still quite a bit of liquidity sitting at 65.7K, which we could potentially get attracted to. But besides that, there's also still quite a lot of liquidity sitting at 70.7K. Okay, so this could be an interesting area between these two levels here that the Bitcoin price can get attracted to. If it already takes out this level, I will get to some of the higher resistance levels potentially on Sunday, because then we have the whole week ahead of us. I could talk a little bit more about the higher timeframes, levels of support and resistance. So let me know in the comments if that is something you want to see, especially in the following weeks here. I do think there is more liquidity to be grabbed to the upside. One thing we must keep in mind is that there is quite a bit of liquidity to the downside, as low as 54.2K, but I think we would be able to spot that quite quickly if something like that were to be coming, because we would suddenly lose a bunch of levels of support. Lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin ETF flow tables for today. On Friday, we actually saw a net inflow of $250 million, which is more than double the average that the Bitcoin ETFs typically buy every single weekday. So as I have been saying for over a week at this point, so long as we keep seeing inflows from these Bitcoin ETFs, likely we are going to see more bullish price action for Bitcoin. But again, if we now start to see more of this massive inflows into these ETFs every single weekday, I think that would kind of turn me off in the short term, because at that point we are basically just repeating the same thing that we see every time, where these Bitcoin ETFs are making massive buys at the exact highs and they are getting massive outflows at the exact lows, right? So if we now start to see these massive inflows every single weekday, then yeah, at that point it might actually just be another lower high and we get rejected back down here, because for some reason these Bitcoin ETF investors exactly get it wrong every single time. Either way, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, don't forget to come check out MEXC or WeX. These are the two best exchanges that I could find with the lowest fees. Yes, also if you are in the United States. Okay, so go check out these links in the video description, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.